Hey, it's a full moon reading. I'm having some problems with my throat, so please excuse me. I'm going to take the advice of a reader that I listened to today. She had a good idea, and I'm going to go ahead and handle that idea of hers because I do feel like it was a very good one. My name's Michelle, and I have been a tarot reader here at YouTube. But before I was a tarot reader, I was just somebody that sat here and watched videos like everybody does. The videos that I chose and the content probably wasn't the best of choices at the time because of the lack of knowledge and wisdom I had about spirituality. But I went ahead and went to them channels anyways. And that's how I found out about energy transference. Because there was a few channels I went to and they absolutely took energy from me. And that was over there at Witches channels. And there was a few vampires over there in the Ghost Hunters section. And then there was one she did unboxings of witchcraft stuff. I watched her, and yeah, so I could feel them taking my energy. I just really didn't know how to stop it, and there are no laws against it, right? So this is how I feel about that. If you wouldn't do it to me in front of my face, then you shouldn't do it to me behind my back. You shouldn't do it to anybody behind their back and against their free will. Because everybody that's born on this earth has the right to freedom until they fuck that freedom up with their actions and behaviors towards not just themselves but others. You know, when people get violent with others, they usually end up going to jail. At least, you know, they used to run it that way. But nowadays, they're letting the prisoners out of jail into our communities where they are not doing good things with us. Okay, I'm going to put it to you that way. At least that's how it is where I'm at. And no one can do anything about that because why? Because nobody knows how to fire the police department. Nobody knows how to call them out. I'm not sure what the problem is there. But there seems to be a lack of communication with all of these authority places. Like the police department doesn't want to communicate with the feds, don't want to communicate with CIA, don't want to communicate with local, state, or federal authorities. So people just are getting like the runaround. And basically you have to be your own law, right? So how you do that is by following the 10 Commandments. And you don't do them. You don't break those 10 Commandments. You do unto others as you'd have done to yourself. And I have done that. But not always, because I definitely am not perfect and I wasn't perfect. But I have found a way to change. I have, through all of this, found a way to learn to love myself, because there was a time, obviously, when I didn't. All the abuse can lead you to not having good feelings or a good self-esteem. You know, and when you feel crappy, you look crappy. When you're depressed, you look sad. When you're angry, you look pissed. You're kind of unapproachable during those times in your life, and that's how I've spent much of my life, due to the interference of other people in my life, stopping me from actually living it as myself in my own identity. You see, like, not everybody gets to have that. And they say that freedom's not free, and it really isn't. And that's because anybody that wants to be free, there's going to be many sacrifices made for you to be free. And what are you willing to do for all of that? I'm willing to step up to the plate and speak for not just myself, but for everybody at YouTube that was bullied, stalked, harassed, hurt, robbed. Because it wasn't just me. But others are afraid to come out and talk about it because they don't want it to start all over again and continue on, because there's no law, there's no supervisors, there's no managers. You know, exactly who is running YouTube? I have no idea. I'm trying to run my channel and it's been stolen from me twice. And on them channels was my story as it was happening in real time. And it was taken down. And again, YouTube did not actually tell me, look, you can't do this or that. They didn't say anything to me. They just took it down. Twice. You know, I made videos about it, but I don't know if anybody saw them or not. I'm now posting over on TikTok because I don't know. My phone was hacked so bad that it's really hard to tell. And it's hard to keep replacing my phone as well. This went too far, and I feel like I really got overwhelmed by just how many people were involved with this. It was mind-boggling that so many people chose to just get on board with something, whether they knew, had evidence or proof. Because usually before you convict somebody, you have to have proof and evidence on them. And that's what God is telling me, is the laws here. And they're breaking their own laws so that the people that are hurting me and bullying me can go free? For what? For what? Because, I mean, I got a no insurance in this lifetime, and I had to go to jail twice for that because I was unable to pay it. And I ended up having to pay it, and a lot too. And I'm pretty sure I had to pay that one twice because they lost, you know, the original paperwork to it. Okay, I've gotten a really hard time from the police and from the judicial system that I don't mess with them. And it got to a point where, like, why keep calling them and complaining when it's falling on deaf ears? They won't even take a report from me. Not even a report. It's something that isn't going to break me or hurt me that bad. Like, you can only hurt my feelings so bad before I've developed, you know, a skin of leather, and anybody will. Like, every time they've done it to me and I haven't reacted, nothing bad's happened to me. I've been just fine. I don't know what's going on over there with them. And at this point in time, I don't care. I have a family that I'm very concerned about. Children, grandchildren here. Also, being exposed to some of the really bad behavior of others, I would have to say. And people deciding that they're going to be able to, I don't know. But I know that whatever I'm deciding these days, I'm having it, and that's peace and positivity, and I'm doing my best to stay that way. Because I know that actually will help me to overcome any depression and all of that I have from all this crap. Getting some fresh air and sunshine does help a lot out in nature. Doing kind things for others, even if they don't know it, that feels good. There was a person in a store today that came up to me, and She really made me feel very good about me being myself. She was very kind to me, and I was very grateful that she just came out of nowhere, and me and my daughter were there, and she gave me a hug and she prayed for me, and she asked me if she could do that. Could she give me some healing? And I was like, you know what? Yes, you can, because I had such a good feeling about her. She loved God too. So it was a unique experience. It was a good experience, and an experience I'll always be grateful for, because she was reminding me of exactly who I am, and I know who I am. And to my enemies, you know who I am. And you know what time it is. It's karma time. It's your karma time. You can't keep doing this to people over and over again and again and get away with it. And he told you that. He warned you so many times. I prayed for you so many times, and he told me to stop. And I have. And you need to know that. You need to know that I don't feel sorry for any of you. I'm not a welcome mat or a punching bag or somebody who deserves to be bullied like that. I'm somebody that does my best to love everybody as much as I can. I deal with the situations as they come in my life. The things that I used to love to do, I haven't been able to do because this has been so overwhelming. It's probably been more than any of the jobs I've worked at in this lifetime. And I worked as a mover for, a slave driver. And they would work me 18 hours a day sometimes. But this was far worse than that. It really was. It was exceptionally painful to me to have to see my children so concerned about me. Because, they can feel things too. They're not stupid in any way, shape, or form. They know about the family that's involved in this. And we all keep our distance and mind our business and stay in our own lane. I really, after everything I've been through, have been happy on my spiritual journey with not dating anyone, because I was able to focus more on learning about how I need to be my best self today so I can be a better me tomorrow. I take it one day at a time because I don't like to live in the past, and I don't want to have to worry about the future, because right now in the present moment that I'm in, there's enough on my plate for me to deal with. And that's what I'm dealing with right now. I'm somebody who was born, bred, and raised to just go ahead and be quiet and mind your own business, and for a lot of good reasons. And had I done that, none of us would be in this situation right now. But here we are, because I do have a calling, and I have to answer that call whether I want to or not. I signed a contract. It's a very, very serious one. Ever as much as my enemies have. And I know that's a serious one, but you can get out of it as soon as you get on your knees and talk to God, the real one, the one that's above, that one that you keep going to in the graveyard. Okay? Like, if it's not the one up there in heaven, you definitely don't have the same protection that I do. And that is one thing I absolutely know that most people know. It's a miracle. I know that too, very well. And God's miracle is shining brightly through me based on what I just declared, decreed, and spoke the gospel truth about. Because anybody that knows me knows that I was a real little bitch once upon a time. And if you fucked with me, I was going to come and fuck with your ass and whoop the shit out of you too. But I don't do that anymore. And it's been years, by the way, since I was in my 20s. By the time I got to my 30s, things started getting quite real, especially when my mother passed away. Things got real then because I became homeless because of all this crap. And right after her death, I did. And that was very painful because I didn't have anybody to rely on. All I had in this world that I knew of was my mom and my brother Mike. And Mike left town and my mom had passed away. So all I had was me, myself, and I and my 2 children to raise by myself. And I dealt with that and I survived it. And if you can survive that, there's a lot of other things that you can survive in this life. I don't want to feel a lot of anger. I've been working very hard to release that through meditation, through speaking, because I don't want to be angry anymore. It doesn't do anyone any good. You can't sit down and have a discussion when you're angry, at least not a reasonable one. It doesn't solve anything. It makes it worse, in my experience. I have been working quite a bit on other projects, but I'm not willing to give up on my channel. It's my channel. I'll say what I want to. I have every legal right to. I was born here and raised here, and I have a right to free speech as long as it's within the guidelines of YouTube. And I'm aware of that. And if I can't do it at one place, then I will speak somewhere else because I'm telling the truth. And I'm not hurting anyone by telling the truth, but it does expose the truth about people who have exposed themselves because they were talking too much and gossiping too much and making it very well known where they were at and what they were doing. I was over here still working on my projects, minding my own business, staying in my own lane. If you can't be nice to somebody or kind to them and you don't like them, don't have anything to do with them, and don't throw black magic at them either. Somebody like me is going to notice that real quick, and I'm going to find out who did it, because I'm going to go straight to God and He is going to tell me every single time. I'm a healer and I choose to be in peace so that I can heal people. It takes me a long time to heal myself, and I do get help from heaven and people with that because it takes a long time. There was a lot of damage done, a lot in my lungs, and I'm doing my best to heal it. But it is going to take a while, that's for sure. But I'm working on that. I'm working on recovering. And I am working on my other projects that I've been working on, artwork. I do plan on doing tarot readings, and I plan on doing one probably tomorrow to do a full moon reading. But I wanted to say exactly how I felt about this. I think that it's really wrong. I think that there needs to be someone in charge of all these different categories that are really volatile, and they've been getting away with a lot of weird stuff on the internet for a very long time, and we just didn't know about it. But maybe it needs to be monitored closer because it's so far out of hand, and it really did go too far. It really did. For me, for my children, my granddaughter, it just went too far. And at what point in time did you think that you were going to win against God when you knew exactly what was going on? Some of you were like living right here in the neighborhood, playing games, and ended up having to move out because of your involvement in this bullshit. And exactly what did happen to Tracy? I'd really like to know. A lot of people would. What happened to Robert Tubbs, one of the Masons that my half-sister, she married him. What happened to him? He was in jail, then he got out of jail, and now nobody's heard from him ever since. Odd. Not in this town, but it is maybe in other people's town who have, actual law there helping them out. I'm sure, our law enforcement is pretty busy, though. I mean, there's a lot of criminals in the streets, for real, and they do have to deal with that. I'm well aware of that. I can hear it all the day and at night. Sure can. I just wanted to say how I feel. I've been put through an awful lot in all of this. I did go to those strange places and encounter strangers I did not know, and they did do some mess up crap there too. But I did leave them places, and I came over to tarot to study it because and that was really weird, or as weird as the other places I had been to. It really was. And for a while there, before they super hacked my cell phone, I was able to watch tarot in a unique way that I was able to watch it. Like for a few hours in the morning I would, but then I would go on there and watch it at night, and it would be a whole different world tarot at night was. And I really appreciated the variety that I had when I first started watching it. But as time went on, it tapered down to just about, 4 or 5 same readers every single time. And this stuff was being forced into my recommendations after all my channels were taken down and all that. It was terrible because I didn't have the same recommendations that I had at my first channel, which was a variety. Because I had a lot of subscriptions to a lot of different people. But they took that down. And they took the second one down, and it wasn't even up for that long. So YouTube's really doing some stuff that's very sketchy. And probably illegal, most likely. But there's no one here to do or say anything about it, and I feel like when we speak up about it, that's about the time that your karma hits you. When we're speaking up about it and we're telling the truth about the ones that are doing stuff. And I've seen quite a few readers, make videos about other readers, and they were terrified making them videos about the other reader because they're like, God, I hope they don't do this to me. There was just, and then those videos will be permanently erased from the system. You'll never find them again after you find them that one time. And during the time you find it, it's strange with that because you don't think to save it or record, screenshot it, none of that. You don't think about that at the time. You watch it and something happens, and next thing you know, it's gone. That was a strange thing too. But I think one of the strangest things was the subliminal messaging that I heard happening during some of the tarot readings. That was really freaky. It really was. And I don't even know how to describe that. I really don't, but it was weird. And I keep saying the word weird because it was. There's not too many words to describe that. When someone's voice just goes from doing a pleasant read to all of a sudden, yeah, I sent you that death spell, bitch. When you hear something like that in a reading, you're like, what? And then I did rewind it. And it did say the same thing the second time around, too. The third time around, though, it was gone. And that was freaking strange too. Like, I don't know if that's a thing you can do, or I just really don't know what all it was, but I did hear the subliminal in it, and that was weird. So like I said, I've seen a lot of strange things, and I do feel like a lot of people screwing around playing games. That's why I choose not to get I don't let anybody decide how I'm going to feel today, tomorrow, next week, ever. I'll decide how I'm going to feel, because that's up to me to decide. I can't let other people decide, otherwise I'd be dead right now. I've got to make up my own mind and do my own thing too, but I can never do any of what I've been doing without God, and anybody that knows me knows that. So I've never done anything alone during all of this at all. He's had to be here, because if he weren't going through the internet in the way I did go through it like that, I'm amazed and surprised I survived it, because I know what I was looking at over there. And it was some pretty serious stuff. It was kind of like walking into the woods and creeping up on a coven and watching them do their whole entire ritual without them knowing that you're there. But they knew I was there, but I didn't know they knew that. You know what I mean? It was like that. Strange experiences, but I've had so many more of those in other places besides YouTube. I've had those experiences in real life. I hope that this tells you how I feel. I have no doubt that this is not the end of what I have to say at all. But for now, I'm really tired. It's been a long day, and I'm gonna gear up and make a tarot read tomorrow for the full moon. God bless.